In this short presentation, I will introduce the EPLAN Electric P8 to RSLogic's Architect interface. Due to the object-oriented nature of EPLAN, we are able to insert part numbers without having creating any drawings. This can be done by inserting a device, by selecting a part number, and finally dropping that device in the drawing. And attached to the part number is a macro. Let's take a look at this project, and I already created a PLC card, a rack, as well as a controller. Let's take this PLC box, and straight out of the navigator we can insert a macro. Select the variant for that macro and simply drop that macro onto our drawing. Now I will place a couple of sensors. I will access the symbol library, select a limit switch, and simply drop 2 limit switches on my first insertion points. I will connect these limit switches to my power, and the job is done. Now I will modify the function text for these limit switches. I will then proceed to my table editing for I/O addresses. Here I'm going to define the type of input that we have. And I can also manually enter my symbolic address. And the information is automatically transferred into my drawing. This is the point where I want to export this information to RSLogic's Architect. To do so, simply go to the menu PLC, Export Data, and you can see here we have an interface or a format for RSLogic's Architect 3.0. This will create an XML file that I will locate on my desktop. All I need to do now is simply open up RSLogic's Architect and import that file. A new project. Then I'm going to create a new layout. I could of course manually create this layout by dragging and dropping components from my controls hardware catalog, such as a chassis, such as modules, or digital I/O modules. However, since this configuration was already created in EPLAN, I can simply import the information directly from EPLAN. That configuration from EPLAN carries all the hardware information as well as the tag information. And as you can see here, I have my 2 limit switches defined. I am now going to commit this information and make this information available to RSLogic's 5000. Here are my validation results, and I can confirm with OK. Now I can simply right-click on the controller and open my L63 project in RSLogic's 5000. So here I'm in RSLogic's 5000. I can access all of my controller tag information. I can see my LS1, LS2, and what I'd like to do now is add a new limit switch in RSLogic's 5000 as well as modify my descriptors. I'm going to assign this alias to a physical address, and I'm going to add a descriptor. I'm going to modify these existing descriptors Now I'm going to save this information and return to RSLogic's architect to synchronize the information. Tags were added, and by clicking on my controller I can see now that I have LS1, LS2 and LS3. All I need to do now is export that information to an XML file and import that information back in EPLAN. Back in my EPLAN environment, what I want to do is import that configuration previously created in RSLogic's architect. EPLAN's interface allows you to validate the information before it gets transferred to EPLAN. And you can see here that information is differing between the file that is to be imported and the current information in EPLAN. Confirm the import, and you can see straight away the information was accurately transferred into my system. Additionally, this middle position was defined, and in EPLAN all I need to do is simply copy and add a new limit switch. And there we go. The EPLAN Electric P8 to RSLogic's architect interface.